that.
Well, now we can get started on our workshop that nobody's tuned into. So we're reviewing the personnel policy at the request of one of the select board members. And anybody got any questions, comments already, or can we review it? We're waiting on one member to arrive, and so we've got a few minutes to read, I guess, if you want.
Sure. He said he's gonna be late.
It should be around 4:30.
No, 15, 20 minutes late.
Quarter of. Alright.
Not a quarter of.
I'll have to wait till he gets here so we don't have to have a discussion over again. Was it just last year you guys had reviewed this?
Yeah.
Updated, it was a lot of policies will be updated.
Page 18 is where the holiday and the transfer stuff that we were just talking about, where that stuff lives. Chief didn't have a search bar on mine, so.
It's cheating early.
Give this up some damage, Scott. Do you have a minute, do you want me to, wish you could probably send it to everybody?
What?
On the, this. Like your.
Yeah, it's in the way. I don't necessarily need it tonight, but it'd be nice to have it electronic.
Like that one little one on the front. That was pretty dang good.
So I think the discussion we had in the past was if a holiday is on a regular day, the transfer station is closed, we either paid them holiday pay or gave them a different day off. Correct?
I think prior to doing the change of that, we had, yeah.
I'm just trying to make it fair for all the employees. They all get the same, you're giving them a holiday on a day that's already off. You're giving them, these offices a holiday that's open. I get it, it needs to be one or the other. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree, and I think if I recall correctly, what it is that doing that, it pushes people into overtime pay. Whereas what we had discussed at a lot of other places is that's counted as holiday pay. So it doesn't push your regular work week into overtime just due to a holiday. If I remember the discussions correctly.
Is that accurate?
Excuse me?
If the it really only applies to the transfer
Holiday
station.
pay, yeah.
They're the only employees that are off. They have their days off are during the week.
Correct.
So if a holiday is on a Wednesday, the transfer station is open or closed, they're given holiday pay. It doesn't push them in an overtime status, does it?
Well, it does, because in here it says that it's working hours, so it pushes them into overtime. Instead of them just being paid for just holiday pay. I think at the end of page 18 or 19, whatever it was, 18. The holiday be equal to one regular work shift.
Well, the pay is equal, but it shouldn't be counted as hours worked.
Okay, but we have in here that holidays count as hours worked.
Yeah, there's another line in there.
On page 8.
So if the town office is closed on
Monday.
hours worked, it's not, well, it would be overtime, it's not.
Right, so with most of the departments, it works out just fine, because like the town office, if we're closed on Monday because it's holiday X, we're gonna work Tuesday through Friday that week, and we'll have a solid 40 hours. But the trouble with the transfer station was that because they're open at oddball times, they'll get their holiday pay, and then they'll remain open for 40 hours on top of that, because if the holiday fell on one of the days off. Because again, if the holiday was on, say, Sunday, the town office would close on Monday. Whereas if the holiday is on Sunday, with the transfer station, they'll get Sunday off, and it doesn't matter. But if the holiday falls on Tuesday, when their day off is anyway, they'll get 8 hours. And that was kind of the request or ask that I had of you guys a few months back was, if it falls on a Tuesday, is it okay if I give them Monday off or Thursday off? Give them a day off to, offset that.
Offset the overtime.
Right.
And that's not working?
At that time, we
didn't
chose,
approve it.
right, at that time, we
Oh.
chose to,
We never officially approved it?
at that time, we chose to just keep on keeping on, which is fine, but.
There's so many different ways you can do it, and you try to make, my opinion, you try to make it fair and even for all your employees, but no matter which way you do it, you're not. Because now they're getting the regular 40 hours plus they're getting a day and a time and a half. Even though they're not working that day, at time and a half.
Yeah. I mean, my solution was, to shift the day.
I wanna change the language and just say that it's not considered time work, not considered working hours, it's just paid. And that's just another way to solve that problem. And then they would just get 48 hours, it wouldn't be 40 hours regular time, 8 hours at time and a half, it'd be 48 hours, regardless of which department, or if it happened to happen in another department, it would be a non-issue.
I think that's more how we do it at the county level, but as long as we're in compliance with labor law,
Well,
I don't think it says you have to pay them time and a half.
hours worked, I think it's working, we just chose to put that there.
Their day of holiday pay is equivalent to a day of work.
According to our policy, and the union contracts too.
Yeah, it's not the police department.
Correct. Or the public works department.
Highway, police.
Hmm?
Highway and police, vacation days, yeah. Hours work.
I mean, if we wanna start mincing the fair and equitable approach, it's,
They're just given a different day off.
if we give them a different day off, then they're getting paid the same. Whereas if a town off, rec department employee, I'll pick on that, rec department employee, they're only getting a straight 40. They're not getting an opportunity to get that extra holiday pay. Whereas the transfer station, because we have them on, and maybe that's I don't wanna call it the bonus, maybe that's the benefit of working at the transfer stations, because they have to work during during the weekend, that that's something they get, I don't know.
I thought a weekend was a regular day.
It is.
It is, right. But they have to work weekends, so is the offset to that as a,
So if the holiday's on the weekend, it was closed.
correct?
If the holiday is on one of their regular days off, Wednesday and Thursday, that's when they're already off, so it's not really a holiday to them, like it is the town office.
Well, if we change the word in the way Phil says,
Well, I can agree with that, I don't think it should be.
Then you have the option, they can,
And I'd be willing to give them the option, they can have a different day off
The transfer station?
instead of the day of straight holiday pay.
well, listen, that's here nor there, that's gonna be determined by the town manager or a whole other board. If 5 of us sat here and voted to pay them time and a half and let them work that day, if we change the language, then it doesn't even go to a vote, the town manager, it's just automatic. If he says, I'm just gonna give you the day off before or after, he does. At that point, it doesn't even matter, it's not a difference between overtime and not, just change the language. It's clean and it's done. The only hiccup I think you have, Dana, is the union negotiated that into their contract. So you wanna give what the union negotiated in the contract for police and public works, you wanna give that to everybody else because the union negotiated that somewhere else, so it's not your
I'm
contract.
not talking about a union, I'm talking about all the non-union people that we should strive to make fair and even.
And
So unions are different.
and I apologize, I came a little late, what's unfair about rewording that, am I, nothing? Oh, all right, I thought I missed something.
No, you're saying a day of holiday pay for them should be a straight rate pay, and I agree.
Like it is,
Because if they're getting time and a half for it, they're getting more than the other employees, not the union. Or alternative, if you want a day off, then you take a day off and you don't get the extra holiday day. I wouldn't care either way, but that's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
you'd get your holiday pay, you just wouldn't get time and a half.
Correct.
So what happens right now when one of the 14 holidays falls on a Saturday, just say for instance to the clerks out here?
They
They
get
get
Friday
paid.
off.
They get a day off
They get
in
Friday
lieu of
off.
that.
Much in line with the state.
Okay.
Like if Christmas is on a Saturday, they give them Friday.
So that's their benefit as far as that they actually get a day off
Yeah.
for that holiday. Where at the transfer station, they still gotta work, but what happens if the holiday's on a Wednesday or Thursday? They just get paid the 8-hour holiday, right?
Correct. In addition to, which then creates overtime.
If they work their regular week.
Yeah, right now,
Right now.
right,
yes.
right now,
If they work
correct,
their regular week and there's a holiday on a Wednesday or Thursday, they would get time and a half.
correct. So I'm just trying to decipher how this is different. I mean, we can't necessarily just give them the day off the way we do clerks here, right?
Why not?
Well, no, we could.
We tried to do that this past time, we just tried that, Ernie, we all voted to let them work and pay time and a half. Change the language and be done with this.
Well, I agree with that. I'm trying to figure out to make it fair for everybody that it's fair that nobody's getting more than somebody else or someone's getting less than somebody else. And I agree, I do think that should be how it is that,
So giving them an extra day off would be a money saver. So if holiday falls on a Wednesday, and that will now the transfer station's gonna be closed on Tuesday. And it'll be closed Tuesday for the holiday, Wednesday and Thursday. I'm okay with that. You know, people that plan on going to the transfer station on Tuesday, they'll have to make an adjustment, but I don't think it's all that busy there on Tuesday. No, but
okay, but we weren't opposed to having them work 40 hours and having the 8-hour holiday pay, as long as the 8-hour holiday pay was holiday pay, not overtime pay, right? So we never discussed about having to give them an extra day off for it. Well, we did discuss it, but I don't think that's
I'm
what
good
we're even
either
saying
way.
though.
I'm good either way. I do think it shouldn't be time and a half.
And what I'm trying to, maybe I'm doing a terrible job explaining, the best way to make that happen I mean, take it out of going in front of the board or the town manager's discretion, it's just change the language. Because if you say we're just giving the day before, the day after off, like we tried to do this last holiday season, it comes to the board or the town manager's gonna make a decision. If you change the language, the town manager can still do it if they, because I have a sneaky suspicion, now they'll want the day off. Where before, they sat here and said, no, we want, the town likes that, we should be open because they got paid time and a half to be there. So if the town manager decides to give them the day off, that's fine too, but at the end of the day, if we change the language, it just doesn't matter. We can leave it open. And the townspeople, if it means that much to them to have it open that day, it'll be open. If they decide that they wanna close it, we can close it. And it just won't matter. It just eliminates this whole process of them coming to us and say, here's my thought. What do you guys think?
Is that a clean way of doing that? That passes.
If that's what you folks wanna do, it certainly will work. I will just point to what you just said about, discretion. So it says on page 18, holidays, the transfer station shall be closed on all designated holidays. So that means if it falls on like a Saturday, they'd be closed on Saturday. Any holidays that fall on days the transfer station is already closed, the employee shall receive holiday pay. A holiday will be equal to 1 regular work shift. So going the direction that we're saying is that if a holiday does not put them into overtime, and we leave this language in there, I would feel that just means that they get their 40 plus 8 hours. But they would be required to, if the holiday's on a Tuesday or Wednesday, they would be required to work. And just work their 40 around the week. Does that make sense?
No.
No? So they're gonna get 8 hours of holiday pay, because if the holiday falls on Wednesday when they're closed, they'll get 8 hours for that day, for the holiday pay. But they'll still be open 40 hours that week on top of it.
So they're gonna get paid 48 hours.
They get paid 48 hours of straight time if you make the change that you're suggesting, that a holiday is not hours worked.
Actually working 40, but they're gonna get paid 48.
Right.
Just because of the holiday. The only caution I throw out there about shifting, I like the shifting of the days, I was the one that suggested that. But the only caution I throw out there is with the transfer station specifically when we look at like Thanksgiving, when it's Thursday and Friday, there's 2 holidays. And if we close like at Thanksgiving, if we close the transfer station like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think that, I don't feel like that's providing good service, but also I think that created difficulty for people. And I think that happens around Christmas time too. Does that sound, yeah, Christmas, right? Yeah, thank you.
It's the double holidays that create the issue.
It hinges on what day Christmas Thanksgiving's the same every year, but Christmas would be.
So I mean, that, like that setting, we would wanna have a different scenario that maybe we need
You're
to,
not open on Thanksgiving Friday,
well, with
currently,
no, if it's a holiday, Thursday, Friday, they would have off on Thanksgiving the day after.
yes, but you have to make up that Thursday somehow, if you're not paying.
No, they get 8 hours of holiday pay,
Right, if we're not paying them all, you'd have to.
but we are paying them that way.
Sorry, if we went to not paying them holiday pay and giving them another day off, that's another day the transfer station is closed. Creating that 4 days in a row, the transfer station is closed. And then everybody's calling complaining. I'm good with just changing the language like Phil said to so it's straight time, the holidays straight time.
I mean, I'm good with that. That last scenario confuses me.
You're gonna pay them 8 hours, you're gonna give them another day off. I don't care either way.
I agree.
In the long run, you could save a little bit of money if you just gave them another day off, but it's a day that service won't be available.
Is this a meeting?
Don't.
It's a workshop beforehand.
What?
workshop started at 5.
14 days of holiday pay for each person.
Budget?
No, in this, the only way it costs the town money is when you take the time and a half.
You're gonna pay them an extra 8 hours. Thursday's a holiday, they're closed Thursday, they're gonna still work their 40 hours. Plus they're gonna get paid 8 hours for Thursday.
Eight straight hours.
8 straight hours,
Right, now
so they're gonna get
overtime
paid
hours.
48 hours.
Correct.
If you don't pay them that holiday pay and you close the day before,
Oh, they're only gonna get
they're
30
gonna
hours.
work 32 hours, but they're gonna get paid for 40. Instead of 48. You're gonna save 8 hours per employee per holiday. The only difficulty in that is that the transfer station will be closed an additional day, 14 more days a year, that the people will have to get used to. But I don't know what a day of pay for those employees are, but, you know, $200 a person, $600 a day, 14 days a year.
So are you,
$840.
so we're,
It's not a ton of money, but it is some money.
so I just wanna make sure I'm not confused and I apologize. So we're contemplating, I thought from what you were discussing, that what we were saying is that if the holiday fell on a day off, they would just get their straight holiday pay and it would not be overtime. Right, that's what we're saying.
That's probably the simplest solution.
We're, right, rather than start shifting their schedule around, we just, it's on a Wednesday when they're closed, they get 8 hours of holiday pay and we move on. I was getting confused with what maybe Ernie and I were saying about whatever. How you said you weren't tracking it either, but am I making sense?
I agree, I understand what you just said, and I agree with that. What I was alluding to was when he was talking about the double holidays. For instance, you got, well, Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
Friday, the day after, right, that's gonna be 3 in a row, but if, say, Christmas and Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve and New Year's fell on a Friday, Saturday, now you're looking at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday being closed. So when a holiday falls on their day off, we make arrangements for them to have another day off. But when the holidays fall on their non-day offs, we don't make arrangements for them to adjust their schedule then. And that's what puts us in the pickle of having 4 days off instead of just 2. It's just those 2 scenarios a year when there's double holidays. Right? That's what I was referring to.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, you'd be looking at 4 days.
Thanksgiving would be 3 days off, right?
No, they're already closed Wednesday.
Oh,
So it'd be
oh,
closed
right.
Wednesday,
Right.
Thursday,
Yeah,
Friday's a holiday.
Right.
And you've gotta make up the Wednesday holiday
correct,
somewhere.
correct.
I get mine twice a year.
Me too.
That's big on you, Scott, but your face kind of says it all.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with what I said, that's how it's in the policy, it happens how many times? Not too many, not in the 12 years I've been on the board, have we had that issue, so if it falls on, if the holiday falls on their day off, for 800 and whatever, less than $900, I would pay it. You, I don't like the idea of screwing the employee out of money, it doesn't sound right with me, so my 2 cents worth.
You may find the employees would rather have an extra day off than an extra day of pay.
With respect, I take a little offense to the suggestion that we're screwing them. they're not working those hours, it should be time and a half. And I would say 70% of American jobs, including when I worked for your father, it wasn't that way. It's not that way at my shop, and I know it's not that way at Floyd's shop. So I don't think we're screwing them, we're just asking them to take compensation at a regular rate. That's how I feel about it, and it makes the decision simple for the town manager, instead of coming to the board and moving days around.
So is somebody making a motion on this, or we just?
Make a motion to.
Yeah, right
Just
now.
gonna work
Oh, you gotta bring it into here, yeah, you're
There
right.
you go.
Let's
So
do it.
So I think, I'm feeling I'm getting that the majority will support a straight 8-hour day holiday pay without the rest of the days off. At least at this time, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
What else in the policy?
So I'll draft language and bring it to you at the next meeting, so it'll be in there and look pretty, and you guys can adopt it if you so choose. I probably, if we're gonna be opening the policy, I'm probably gonna take advantage of this time to make sure that we get our EPL stuff updated for just state compliance. Also make sure our overtime section complies with the no tax on overtime business that's going on. I also spoke to the town attorney a while ago about, and was advised that it would be wise for us to look into having in our employee handbook an AI policy, AI, usage policy on what it can be used for and what it can't be used for. So I've been kind of working on those things behind the scenes, so I'll probably have that to propose to you as well. So if you guys are okay with that, unless you want this to be the only thing we do at this time, but we might as well, if we're opening the book, we might as well hit on
What,
one.
anything that's in here that needs to be added, modified, in your opinion?
Yep.
Include that in
And let's do one and done.
our next meeting, so we're gonna make changes on that. It may not be the next meeting, depending on how much stuff needs to be changed, drafted up, get it to us, so we can review it.
Even if it's like a first reading type thing.
Yeah, so we're not reviewing it at that meeting, and then we're gonna wait till the next meeting, and make a decision without really.
Easy enough.
Are we in compliance with the overtime? Must be tricky, because the state of Maine's gonna tax you overtime.
No, and that's why it's not in there now, I have all. Frankly, I'm just gonna ask for both language.
But we're in compliance.
Hmm?
With the no tax overtime. on the W-2.
Following the law.
We are, we did,
We just need to bring
it
the
went out on the
policies in.
W-2, yep.
And also, I think in our policy, it actually even states that if there's anything in the policy that's no longer in compliance, we'll be in compliance.
PD's the only one that falls out. That might exceed the 12.5.
Actually, maybe five, but definitely PD. Yeah, I wonder if, yeah, I know.
I'm sure the PD has some. And then gotta work a few shifts to get that. Is it 12,000? 12,000.
Yeah, public works doesn't work that many hours in the winter.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, maybe feels that way probably sometimes.
Some weeks. So we got a few minutes to come up with anything in the handbook you want to discuss, or if you take it with you and see if there are things you want change, just email Adam, so we can add them all for one meeting. I don't know if anybody else is gonna have any. So everybody's aware, we had a workshop that started at 5 o'clock, pretty much wrapped it up. We don't want to start this actual selectmen's meeting early because people might show up. So that's why we're just sitting here kind of doing nothing.
Bill, if you care to look while we're killing time, 7.1, I did need a response about the train horn. Remember you'd asked about that? So if you want to read the response from the lawyer, so when we get there later in the meeting, I was gonna bring it up under manager comments, but if you want time to read that ahead of time.
You can start. That concludes the workshop for now. So she can stop recording.
Yeah.
If you need to take a break or whatever.